Chapter 1671. Why are you looking for me for such a thing? Shui Yaoyao had been in the Supreme Alliance for a long time and followed Fox Feng. She could basically hear the hidden message behind a sentence. Lin Yang looked at her. Because no one is more suitable than UNC University. After all, you are a professional. As expected, you know. Shui Yaoyao's gaze was indifferent. I refuse. Lin Yang smiled, not in a hurry. Yaoyao, have you ever thought that it would be a waste of your talent if you don't work in the game industry? You can be a game maker if you can't play games. Many people feel that games are useless when they talk about games. The Tetris we played when we were young is helpful for intellectual development. Currently, there might not be such a game in the country, but rather than handing the things you like to unreliable people, wouldn't it be more reassuring to do it yourself? Shui Yaoyao had never heard such an argument. She retracted the step she was about to take. She seemed to be thinking. Lin Yang stood beside her, his voice calm. I like to watch the Supreme Alliance compete, from its creation to its disbandment. When I entered school, I thought that if one day, the things I created were given to these people, I would feel very honored. Games shouldn't make people overly addicted. If we can insert some textbook knowledge and add questions and answers from an angle that everyone is interested in, would that be a way to start from interest? Lin Yang's gaze stopped on the lake. These are all things I want to do in the future. Every time I feel that I'm being whimsical, I will go watch the Supreme Alliance's competition. No matter what I encounter, I will continue and not give up. Even if countless people say it's absurd, it doesn't matter. Shui Yaoyao trembled, her long black hair was blown by the wind, revealing her eyes. Lin Yang, to become outstanding in their respective fields, this is the way I like the Supreme Alliance. Do you want to use this method too? Shui Yaoyao was convinced. Completely and utterly. She was even more determined than before. When she didn't want to touch something again, it was because that group of people were no longer around. She turned to the backstage to think if it was possible, they could meet again. Many years later. Just like that, Shui Yaoyao became a game tester. When Lin Yang brought her over, she was really dumbfounded. Come over, come over. Lin Yang arched a brow. What? Come here first. Lin Yang said helplessly, don't pull my clothes, say it. Then I'll be direct. The man took a deep breath. I've always felt that you're a cold and steady person, right? Lin Yang let out a ha. Don't be angry, don't be angry. I mean, we all agree that you should take the initiative to chase after girls. After all, there aren't many girls that you like, but you can't bring dating into work. This is a very serious issue. Lin Yang glanced at Shui Yaoyao and then shrugged off his roommate's shoulder. Don't spout nonsense. How am I spouting nonsense? That person looked at Shui Yaoyao. Junior, in order to chase after you, Old C really put in a lot of effort to bring you to the studio. Oh my God, I can't even imagine it. Shui Yaoyao lied, Senior, I actually wanted to tell you yesterday that I have a boyfriend. Not only that person, even Lin Yang's fingers paused. The man coughed twice to ease the atmosphere. This script doesn't seem right. Chapter 1672. Shui Yaoyao's words successfully resolved the awkwardness. That person sighed again. This girl wasn't bad, she wasn't a little green tea. Unfortunately, she wasn't interested in him. Since she wasn't interested, why was she here? All right. Lin Yang moved his hand away. Stop playing, let me introduce you. This is the new beta tester I found. From tomorrow onwards, we will work together. Beta tester. Lao Si, are you crazy? Really, if Junior Yao Yao hadn't said she had a boyfriend, would have suspected that you recruited her to eat grass near your nest. Yesterday, Peach said that Junior's gaming skills are average. Girls' gaming skills are average. Do you know what that means? Shui Yao Yao was curious. What does that mean? Scam. That person turned and wanted to shake himself off. Junior, I'm not saying that you're a scam, I mean, the job of a beta tester isn't for humans. The hand speed is very strict. At the very least, you have to be a gaming almighty who hasn't cheated before. In reality, Shui Yao Yao's hand speed wasn't fast. In Supreme Alliance, her standard was average. But everyone knew that she put in the most time. Hence, she didn't have to worry about the hand speed of a professional player. I can do it. Shui Yao Yao said these 3 words. That person gritted his teeth and didn't speak. Lin Yang interrupted him. You two play around. Me and Junior. Solo. That person waved his hand. No, I'm not as crazy as you to be alone. It's my gentlemanly character to not play against girls. Lin Yang snickered. The man immediately changed his mind. Are you going to use your phone or your computer? Phone, really, if it's a mobile game, at least Junior knows how to run the map. Computer. Shui Yao Yao chuckled lightly. Only client-side games can test the hand speed. Really? Lin Yang arched a brow. Why? Afraid of losing. Ha 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 ha, I'm afraid of losing to a girl. 4, are you kidding me? Just based on what you said, I have to play to my standard. Hence, he turned on the computer and logged into the game. 20 minutes later, he lost. That person looked at the results on the screen and didn't even want to get up. Who told him that little sister Yao Yao's gaming skills were average and that her conscience wouldn't hurt? He had been thoroughly abused like a vegetable. Senior, did I pass the interview? Shui Yao Yao took off her earphones. Her side profile was beautiful. I didn't just pass. Let's discuss something. Junior, please don't tell anyone that you defeated me. I also want to pursue a girlfriend in university. The person raised his head. Halfway through his sentence, he looked at Lin Yang and suddenly remembered something. You told me yesterday that you found someone, is it? It's her. Lin Yang continued his roommate's words. That person's eyes widened. No wonder they felt that he was interested in Junior Yao Yao. It turned out that he had discovered a talent. That's not right. How do you know that Junior Yao Yao is good at gaming? Lin Yang glanced at Shui Yao Yao and didn't explain further. I saw it by chance. Ah, I know. Is it like in the novels, where you go to an internet cafe and see it? Yes. How generous. Shui Yao Yao held back her laughter. Indeed, boys read romance novels too. This made sense so that she didn't have to explain some things. Lin Yang was also helping Shui Yao Yao hide her identity. Chapter 1673. The job of a game tester was indeed suitable for Shui Yao Yao. It wasn't just the job itself, but also the emotional sustenance. Since she was in the team previously and there were many guys around her, it wasn't difficult to get along with her seniors. As for her identity, no one knew about it. This was probably the beginning of a new beginning. But there were still other things that happened. For example, she was the only girl in the school hunks project. And she was a freshman. There would always be gossip in the eyes of others. Just like in novels. The next day, Shui Yao Yao was about to go eat with her dorm mates when she was stopped by a third-year senior. Which one of you is Shui Yao Yao? There were 3 of them, each with a good aura. Li Tao tugged at Yao Yao. Shui Yao Yao smiled, looking up. I am. Let's have a chat. One of them smiled, giving off an artistic vibe. Normally, ordinary people wouldn't reject it. In addition, the people next to him also recognized who this person was. Li Tao was familiar with her, that was why she tugged at Yao Yao's sleeves. According to the school website, this was the C University celebrity most compatible with the school hunk. When Wan Qing, be it in appearance or family background. And the two of them had hosted the freshman party together. It was said that they had a good relationship in private. She was probably the only person who could talk to the school hunk. Hence, the school website said that they were a couple. When they first arrived, Li Tao would definitely believe such gossip when she saw it. But now, the school hunk was obviously chasing after her Yao Yao. Unless the school hunk was a scumbag, otherwise, this artistic lady in front of her was just wishful thinking. Wishful thinking was too easy to go to extremes. Li Tao was anxious for Yao Yao to leave with someone else and was about to speak. Shui Yao Yao smiled. I'm sorry, senior, I have to go eat with my friends. If there really is something, can we talk about it directly? When Wan Qing had probably never met someone who rejected her so directly, her gaze paused on Shui Yao Yao's face. The other person beside her laughed. There's something wrong with the freshmen this year, you still don't understand anything. Our art department is looking for you and this is your attitude. Shui Yao Yao looked at that exquisite face. When she was in junior high. It wasn't like he hadn't encountered such a situation before. Because of Jiangzhua. She had been talked to like this before. After experiencing such a thing, she would subconsciously feel inferior when she saw such a beautiful girl again. No matter when. Just when she thought this was the end of her life, a better-looking person appeared. When she wore the school uniform, she looked like a handsome young man. When she wore the black veil, she looked like a witch. She was extremely beautiful. The difference was, no matter what she looked like, she would stand against the light, bear everything, and not give in at all. Shui Yao Yao understood one thing. If you wanted others to look up to you, the most important thing was to look up to yourself. It had nothing to do with looks. It's that you can see through these people. No matter how beautiful her skin was. It was just skin. Chapter 1674. You. That person narrowed her eyes. There was a commotion not far away. It's the professor. Who's the person beside him? I don't know. Oh my God, he's so handsome. Didn't the professor say that there would be a teaching assistant coming? Could it be this one? Before they could finish their guesses. When Wan Qing had already realized that she couldn't continue asking. It's not as serious as you think, it's just that the art department thinks that you're not bad and wanted to talk to you about joining the club. Since you're not willing, we won't force you. After saying this, when Wan Qing walked forward with her people. After all, this was a first-year building. It wasn't appropriate for third years like them to stand at the door. It would be fine if there weren't so many people watching. It wouldn't be good if they attracted the professor's attention. And everyone's attention wasn't completely focused here. Because the topic of the new teaching assistant is very handsome had sparked a discussion among the freshmen. Shui Yao Yao was eating with Li Tao. As someone who was dedicated to researching the school's website, Li Tao was very interested in this new teaching assistant. He's really amazing, it's been spreading like wildfire but there isn't a single photo on the school's website. Li Tao held her chopsticks in her mouth and looked at the tray in front of her. Yao Yao, who do you think this new teaching assistant is? He managed to keep it a secret so well. Shui Yao Yao ate a mouthful of rice and chuckled. He's a teaching assistant after all, he's getting to know the professor first. No one would dare to take photos, right? That's true. Li Tao admitted but added, it's not that they don't dare to take photos, it's just that there aren't any photos. But there's one thing, no matter how mysterious this person is, he can't beat the girls in our school's search for a handsome guy. Shui Yao Yao was helpless. What kind of adjectives are you using? It's true, don't doubt me. The school's website said that the new teaching assistant isn't simple, otherwise, it's impossible that they couldn't find anything. He must have some background. Li Tao said logically. More importantly, those who have seen this teaching assistant said that in the future, our school hunk won't be able to keep his position. Shui Yao Yao put down her chopsticks. Looks handsome. He's more than handsome. When he's wearing a teaching assistant's uniform and his eyes are raised into a smile, it's easy to guess which family's young master he's from. His flirtatious look is all over his face. Shui Yao Yao stood up and smiled. You're reciting a poem. I'm telling the truth. Li Tao also cleaned up the table. Oh right, are you going to school hunk's senior brother's place to continue working? Shui Yao Yao replied. Because it wasn't convenient to talk about some things, she told her roommates about her current job. The new teaching assistant will follow the professor there in a while. Li Tao hurriedly caught up with her. The school website said that he's very interested in your project and wants the professor to take him to take a look. Shui Yao Yao let out a long sigh. You even know what he talked about with the professor. You have to believe in the strength of our obsession with handsome men. Li Tao smiled cheekily. The professor brought him to the extremely expensive cafeteria in front for a meal. A female classmate happened to overhear it. As expected of the school hunk, senior brother's project is very famous. Shui Yao Yao declined to comment. Chapter 1675. Take pictures. Shui Yao Yao furrowed her brows. It's not convenient with the professor around. Li Tao thought for a moment and chuckled. That's true, but if it's possible, take one. I'm not forcing it, I just want to see a handsome guy. Shui Yao Yao knew her roommate's personality and smiled. I'll definitely take one if there's a chance. After all, I'm a fan of handsome guys. Right. The two girls' voices became softer and softer, disappearing in the wind, just like all the freshmen. Liking to look at handsome men was a very normal thing. On the other side, in the cafeteria, the professor also realized how charming his new student was. He chuckled lightly and said, after you came, the girls of C University have a new goal. Even when we're having a meal, they can gather in a circle. Your dad was still worried about you finding a girlfriend, but I don't think he has to worry at all. I didn't know Uncle Bai was here at first and was waiting for the school to send the documents. The person sat with his back to the light. Even though he was wearing an ordinary teaching assistant uniform, it couldn't hide his merchant aura. He exuded a noble aura. Fortunately, I came. Professor Bai smiled again. With your professionalism, you can handle it yourself. I'm curious, don't you think it's a pity that you transferred to C University in such a hurry? Your major is the most popular in a university. I'm here to be a teaching assistant, there's nothing to pity. The person placed his chopsticks down. Professor Bai arched a brow. Do you think I'll believe you? All right, I'll explain. Regardless of the time or identity, the person still had the aura of a playboy. I'm here to chase someone. Professor Bai was slightly stunned. Chase someone? You're chasing someone. The person replied with a mmh. When he laughed, the girls below really wanted to take pictures. Professor Bai's curiosity grew. Who exactly is it that made you chase after her across provinces? Our C University's freshman this year. Didn't you never chase anyone in the past? You even said it's fun to be chased. The person lowered his eyes. I wasn't sensible in the past. That's not simple, to be able to make you feel that you're insensible. I want to see who you're chasing. Professor Bai smiled and took a sip of tea. Your dad doesn't know, right? The man's eyes paused. I don't know. I didn't want to tell him. When Professor Bai saw this, he stopped asking questions. After all, he knew the relationship between the father and son. He was indeed very nervous. Well, we're almost done eating. I'll take you to see our project. Didn't you say that you're interested in the game development? Professor Bai stood up first. That person also followed. He was wearing a teaching assistant's uniform, and he forcibly made himself look like a noble. In the studio where he was working on a project, everyone was cleaning up. This was really the norm. After all, when they were making a game, hygiene and whatnot, for men like them, they would ignore it if they could. If he had the time, he might as well write another program. Of course, after Junior Yao Yao came, she was already much better. However, they could not withstand their bad luck. Now the professor is coming. In order to let the professor know, and also to let the legendary outstanding teaching assistant who could defeat their fourth teacher know. Their project wasn't something that could be done by just anyone. Therefore, they couldn't slack off in terms of hygiene. Thus, there were people who cleaned up, and there were people who kept watch. Chapter 1676. Are you guys done packing? They're here. Cough, what's the rush? Calm down, let Four and Sister Yao Yao welcome the guests first. Shui Yao Yao was also speechless at the word welcome. They still had to collect the trash at the back. Indeed, they had to go out and exchange some pleasantries. Lin Yang put down the things in his hands and looked up at Shui Yao Yao. Let's go out. Shui Yao Yao put down the rag, wiped her hands and took the phone over. There was a basic version of the game on it. Outside the studio, Professor Bai was still showing off to the teaching assistant next to him. Look, RC university students know more about life than your university students. These small plants are all for them to live in. The teaching assistant glanced at it, a playboy smile hanging on his lips. Uncle Bai, the programmers don't even have time to clean up. It's impossible for them to have the time to plant flowers and plants. These should have been moved over from somewhere else. Don't they have the little bow that girls like? It looks like they were moved from the girls' dormitory. Professor Bai paused when he heard this. The teaching assistant smiled. I shouldn't have exposed it. Professor Bai was about to speak. A voice came from the other side. Professor. It was his favorite student. Professor Bai looked up. What are you guys doing? We're here to pick you and the teaching assistant up. Lin Yang smiled too, his gaze landing on the slender figure. These plants were indeed moved from the girls' dormitory. There's one more girl in our team now. Professor Bai was amused. I knew it, you know how to live well. However, the handsome teaching assistant beside him didn't say much. He just fixed his gaze on one person. All the light seemed to scatter in his eyes, like the flowing gold of time. Compared to before, there were many more emotions, but his voice was indifferent. I know, I'm here for the girl in your team. Shui Yao Yao stood there, looking at the new teaching assistant who was being talked about like wildfire. Her mind was blank, there was almost no image. How could it be him? This was Shui Yao Yao's only thought at the moment. But now she was different from before. Hence, she didn't show anything. Relatively speaking. Lin Yang's hand paused. He looked at the person beside him, then at the figure standing in the light. The smile on his face gradually faded. It was because of the ambiguous relationship between the two of them. Even if they weren't standing together. But he still felt as if there was a line that couldn't be cut. Professor Bai was already helpless. Even if this kid was chasing after someone, could he not be so straightforward? Cough. As a teacher, Professor Bai coughed lightly. All right, Jiangzhua, don't bring your tricks to C University. Come over, I'll introduce you to someone. Jiangzhua smiled and walked out of the light. At this moment, Shui Yaoyao could see him more clearly. From his eyes to his face, everything was crystal clear. There's no need for introductions. Jiangzhua glanced up. I did a background check before coming. The Lin family's young master has excellent results in school and is the student you are most proud of. Professor Bai really wanted to teach this brat a lesson. Jiangzhua had already stretched his hand out. Jiangzhua, I'll be your teaching assistant in the future and also the person following up on your project. The etiquette of the Jiang family was very good. If there was a comparison between the two, Jiangzhua was a more three-dimensional person, probably because of the strong contradictory aura around him. Chapter 1677. He lifted his eyes and looked at Shui Yaoyao, then he smiled. The summer was bright but it couldn't be compared to his eyes. You seem to have become prettier again. Did you lose weight? Professor Bai didn't want to say anything else. They were all here, didn't he know how to restrain himself? A certain someone didn't know how to restrain herself. He could only smile. Why are you trying to get close to her? But it was rare for a girl to be as gentle as ever when she saw this playboy. Professor Bai couldn't help but glance in Shui Yaoyao's direction. Jiang's smile was mixed with many other things. You haven't seen her so you don't know. She is my sister, how can this be considered getting close to her? Sister. Not only Professor Bai, but even the few people eavesdropping at the door were shocked. That amazing newcomer, that handsome teaching assistant who was even better than old Four, was Sister Yaoyao's brother. What kind of twist of fate was this? To have such an elder brother-in-law. Old Four, your road to love is definitely not easy. Needless to say, these people were thinking too much. But it had to be admitted that when Lin Yang heard this, he heaved a sigh of relief. Only Shui Yaoyao didn't expect him to say this. After all, he had never admitted that she was his sister. He also never admitted that her mother married into the Jiang family. In this current situation, it had never happened. So much so that Shui Yaoyao didn't know what to say. The excuse that she had thought of before was that they were just ordinary friends, but it was no longer useful now. Professor Bai had a sudden realization. So you are. He paused here. After all, what he said next would touch on other people's family affairs. He smiled and continued, you're really promising. The people who came into this project are all elites. Come, tell me, which area are you in charge of? Shui Yaoyao was very grateful to Professor Bai for leading the topic on the right track. I am the project tester, mainly testing some of the game's operations, experience and interest. From there, I will find small bugs in the operations and increase the difficulty. Professor Bai listened with great interest. He was usually more technical and wasn't good at application. And most professors were academic. Now that he saw these models and the initial background as well as the game's website beta, he found it interesting. The gentlemen agreed that their labors were fruitful. Even when Professor Bai was inspecting it, one of them kicked the garbage bag inside. But that was not the point. Most importantly, Professor Bai had left. The teaching assistant who caused a sensation did not leave. He smirked, took off his jacket, and looked over at them. For some reason, they were clearly of the same age. This person seemed to have an invisible aura. Do you have time? I don't think we need to clean up again. Ha ha ha. The people who were exposed laughed. Yes, assistant professor, do you have any advice? Jiang Zuo was a businessman and knew how to read people's minds. How can it be advice? As Yao Yao's brother, I would like to treat you to a meal. I came a few days late and I have to thank you for taking care of her for me. Treat me to a meal. Yao Yao's brother was also a teaching assistant. He would definitely go. Ha ha ha, why are you being so polite? He had to be humble. Chapter 1678. He was starving. Didn't he just finish his meal in the cafeteria? Shui Yao Yao lowered her gaze, not saying a word. She had a rough idea of what was going on. But what she didn't understand was why he would suddenly do all this for her. When the others heard that Jiang Zuo was Yao Yao's brother, they were different from before and were extremely passionate. In that case, we'll accept your invitation and accept your meal. Jiang Zuo smiled. Think about what to eat. There's no need to think, it's our usual rule, skewers. We only got to know Junior Yao Yao when we ate skewers. Shui Yao Yao, who was called out, couldn't reject him. Jiang Zuo hooked his jacket and smiled at Shui Yao Yao. Yao Yao, call your roommates over so I can get to know them. Shui Yao Yao was about to speak. The senior beside her said, yes, 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 call Li Tao and the others over. We have been too busy these few days, we can still play games if we sit together. Shui Yao Yao glanced over. Jiang Zuo smiled like a peach blossom. Indeed, there was no other way. After all, he was using her brother's identity. After the other three roommates received the call, they naturally agreed. After all, the two roommates had a good relationship. But most importantly, the senior said, Yao Yao's brother wants to treat us to a meal. All the more reason for them to go. But the siblings were in the same university, it was quite fated. Moreover, the younger sister came before the older brother, which was something they couldn't understand at first. When they entered the skewer's shop, they saw the school hunk and a handsome man who looked like they were going to tear a manga apart. They were truly amazed by her beauty. That person had a pair of long and narrow eyes that looked like peach blossoms. When he looked at them again, his lips curled into a smile. You guys are Yao Yao's roommates, right? I'm her brother and also the new teaching assistant. New teaching assistant. Li Tao felt like she couldn't breathe. If she were to take a photo and post it on the school internet, there would be many people watching. Sure enough, the school's internet didn't lie. Her beloved teaching assistant Prince Charming was really handsome. Li Tao tugged at Shui Yao Yao's sleeves and leaned over to whisper, Yao Yao, you're really amazing. I originally wanted you to secretly help me take a photo of my teaching idol. Now I've even seen him in person and he even wants to treat us to a meal. Most importantly, he's actually your brother. Shui Yao Yao calmed herself down. It's a long story. It's not what you think. You actually have such a brother. No wonder you always say you look average. Li Tao understood. Actually, you're very pretty. It's just that your brother is too handsome. I don't think you two are siblings. Shui Yao Yao replied with a and didn't explain further. The senior brothers on the other side had already taken out the skewers. Come, sit, sit. Shui Yao Yao wanted to sit on the right like before. Unexpectedly, Li Tao was very sensible. You siblings should sit together. Shui Yao Yao glanced at Jiang Zuo, whose collar was slightly unbuttoned, revealing his collarbone. She deeply felt that her brother's excuse was useless. There were indeed many things that couldn't be said. Even though he was sitting in such a small shop, his Jiang family aura didn't diminish at all. But what changed was something that Shui Yao Yao couldn't explain. Yao Yao, hurry and sit, I'll go get the sauce. Chapter 1679. He shrugged. When the heat came. Shui Yao Yao looked up. Jiang Zuo happened to look over, his eyes deep and shallow. It was easy to remember how he looked when he wasn't in front of others. It wasn't easy to get rid of a person's imprint. Shui Yao Yao lowered her eyes, thinking about how to talk to him. He asked while eating, "Is the teaching assistant surname Shui too?" Shui Yao Yao paused. Someone finally noticed the problem. It can't be. Li Tao recalled the information she gathered. I heard his surname is Jiang. Jiang, then Yao Yao. The seniors were confused. They didn't say they were cousins, right? Jiang Zhua smiled. I follow my father's surname, Yao Yao follows my mother's surname. He wasn't wrong. Yao Yao had started following her mother's surname when she was a few years old. But that wasn't the right explanation. Shui Yao Yao looked up. Li Tao laughed. Yao Yao, your family is really trendy. If I have children in the future, one will follow my father's surname and the other will follow my mother's surname. Shui Yao Yao looked at the people on the table, not saying that they were going to start a family. It wasn't that she was embarrassed, but the atmosphere wasn't suitable. Jiang Zhua sat beside her. After taking the skewers, he removed them one by one and placed the tender beef in her bowl. Everyone was eating. But after seeing his actions, the person on the other side paused again. Li Tao exclaimed. As expected, big brothers are good to others. My brother never puts food in my bowl, he always snatches my braised pork at home. Yao Yao, your brother treats you so well. This way, Shui Yao Yao couldn't put the beef back. Moreover, she really liked beef. In the past, when they ate together, Highness Jiu would snatch it for her. Miss them. Jiang Zhua lowered his face, his voice faint. If you do, go overseas. She had been here for so long. Her longing had always been suppressed deeply. But at this moment, someone seemed to understand her. Even the person's next sentence was the same as before. But I advise you not to appear in front of that person, you know how jealous some people can be. Shui Yao Yao replied, placing the beef in her mouth. It was delicious. Probably because there was someone talking to her about them. She had planned to have a good chat with him after dinner. However, the other party did not seem to be his usual self and did not give her a chance to talk to him alone. Instead, when she sent them back to the dormitory, she smiled at her roommates. Yao Yao, I will have to trouble you. Li Tao was now the most loyal, teaching assistant fan. She decisively threw the school hunk aside. Sure enough, she still liked this kind of man who looked bad but was actually a siscon. Jiang Zhua knew that Yao Yao wanted to talk to him, but he didn't because he wanted to give himself a chance. He would stay by her side, including getting rid of all those who had designs on her. It was impossible for him to become kind in this life. No one would be able to accept the method of chasing after someone. But he would not force her like before. If she didn't like him showing up, he wouldn't show up. Whatever she liked, he would give her. In the following days. That was exactly what Jiang Zhua did. So when Shui Yao Yao pushed open the door to the dormitory, she felt a chill run down her spine. Chapter 1680. Shui Yao Yao didn't speak, just looking at the fruits. She liked every single one of them. She thought he wouldn't remember the things she said. After all, when she had told him about it, she had been very, very fat. At that time, no one would have noticed what she had said, done, or liked. Yao Yao. Li Tao glanced down. Shui Yao Yao came back to her senses and replied, Li Tao sighed. It's indeed stressful to have such an outstanding brother. Previously, those people asked me how to get close to you so that I could get the teaching assistant's contact details. Shui Yao Yao smiled. There were people who asked me for it in the past. But they wouldn't have been so nice. Li Tao continued. But the teaching assistant seems to be afraid of causing trouble for you. I saw him tell a girl not to disturb you and she almost cried. Shui Yao Yao glanced down, wanting to avoid this topic. But she saw the figure standing under the tree in her dormitory. He was slender and lazy, his playboy aura couldn't be changed. But this time, he was standing there alone. He lifted his lids, seemingly looking in the direction of her dormitory. The falling leaves fell on his black hair, but he lifted his hand to remove them. He didn't leave, instead, he stood against the tree. Shui Yao Yao lowered her lids, reaching out to pull the curtains. She wasn't sure if it had rained that day. It also showed him her attitude. Jiang's didn't appear the next day. But the fruits arrived and there were 4 more desserts. Her roommates ate happily. He has a sister complex. He definitely has a sister complex. If Yao Yao falls in love in the future, do you think the teaching assistant will beat that guy up? With such an outstanding brother like the teaching assistant, those who want to chase Yao Yao will have to consider if they are qualified. Li Tao smiled, touching Yao Yao's shoulder. Look, there is someone who has considered and feels that he is suitable. Yao Yao, our school hunk senior invited you in the game again. Work test. Shui Yao Yao went online after saying this. She had been looking for the small bug. As well as the pin jamming. This went on for more than an hour. After Li Tao and the others washed the clothes, they even bought the food. When they walked in, they tugged at her sleeves. Yao Yao, do you know? Does he have a fever? Shui Yao Yao's hand froze. Fever? Yes, I heard it's very serious. I don't know where he got caught in the rain yesterday. Li Tao's voice was low. He seems to be in the infirmary now. The classmates are all saying, Yao Yao, did your brother not tell you about the fever because he was afraid that you would worry? Shui Yao Yao's eyes darkened. Li Tao's voice was getting further and further away. No wonder the teaching assistant didn't appear today. Shui Yao Yao stood up and put aside her work for a while. I'm going to the infirmary to see him. Yes, yes. Go, go. After all, he was her biological brother. It would be strange if he did not go. Shui Yao Yao didn't explain their relationship. On the other hand, the school hunk on the other end of the line had asked her out for a meal. Shui Yao Yao replied, the teaching assistant is sick. I'm going to see him. Teaching assistant. This form of address made Lin Yang's fingers pause. He smiled. I don't think I've ever heard you call teaching assistant brother. Chapter 1681. Shui Yao Yao's words caused Lin Yang's gaze to freeze. The intuition that surged in his heart when he first saw that person came back. That person liked Yao Yao just like him. No matter how one tried to hide it, one's gaze couldn't be controlled. From the moment that person appeared, he only had eyes for Yao Yao. Originally, when he heard that he was her brother, he heaved a sigh of relief. From the looks of it now, that wasn't the case. Did Yao Yao know? Her brother, who wasn't related by blood, liked her. For some reason, Lin Yang felt that she knew. Otherwise, with her personality, why would she be so distant from her brother? Lin Yang had always felt that it was better to get closer slowly. But now, he didn't think so. Lin Yang lowered his gaze, his handsome face, his aura retro. Yao Yao, let's meet. Shui Yao Yao furrowed her brows. Now. Lin Yang, now. Shui Yao Yao thought for a moment and said, Senior, do you need me for work? Lin Yang chuckled. No, I want to treat you to a meal. Shui Yao Yao replied with a voice message. I'm sorry, Senior, I have something to do. If it's not work, I won't be going. Lin Yang didn't give up on the idea. Then let's meet after class tomorrow. I'll wait for you in the library. Okay. Shui Yaoyao had other things on her mind and didn't think much about it. She agreed casually. After all, they would often meet in private for data feedback. She was thinking about how to get into the teaching assistant's dormitory as a student. Shui Yaoyao had already been to the infirmary and received a definite answer. The school doctor also said that it was related to the rain. The fever is too serious and she needs to rest more. After Shui Yaoyao thanked him, she went to the staff dormitory. It was on the second floor of the old campus. C University was such a big university, there wouldn't be only a few teaching assistants. Shui Yaoyao was carrying some medicine and fruits she bought. If it really didn't work, she would probably ask someone else to send it up as a family member. It was all thanks to her identity as a family member. Isn't this teaching assistant Zhang's sister? Are you here to see your brother? Someone walked down from upstairs and smiled when he saw Shui Yaoyao. Shui Yaoyao hummed and asked, "Do you know which room my brother is in?" "The first one on the left. I live with him." That person smiled faintly. "I was just about to go get some medicine for him. Since you're here, I don't have to waste my time. I still have a courseware to write in a while, so I'll go straight to the library." Yaoyao stepped aside. "Sorry to trouble you. We're all interning together. It's not troublesome at all. However, your brother is an exception." After saying that, the man waved his hand and left. Shui Yaoyao carried the things upstairs. Because it was in the old campus, the walls were modeled, and the stairs were of the same design as before. There was a slight noise when one stepped on it. There were 4 rooms in the hallway. Shui Yaoyao found the one on the far left and knocked on the door. No one answered. Shui Yaoyao furrowed her brows. According to the teaching assistant, there should be someone inside. Was it very serious? At this thought, Shui Yaoyao knocked on the door a few more times. Only then did he hear footsteps. Chapter 1682. Jiang Zhua, who thought it was his roommate who had returned, fell silent when he saw Shui Yaoyao standing outside the door. Shui Yaoyao looked at him. She didn't even need to take his temperature to know that his fever hadn't subsided. She didn't bother to argue and directly pulled him to the bedside. "Lie down and take your temperature. If it's too high, go back to the infirmary. If it's not, drink your medicine. I'll get you some water." Jiang Zhuo felt dizzy from her pull. When she let go, he lowered his eyes and looked at his wrist. It had been too long. It really had been too long. She took the initiative to touch him. She didn't want to avoid him every time she saw him. The interval between these events was too long. Jiang Zhuo glanced over at the busy figure. His thin lips were pale and he didn't have the strength to speak. If she hadn't kept knocking, Jiang Zhuo probably wouldn't have stood up. Now that he thought about it, he was lucky that he had stood up and opened the door. When Shui Yaoyao walked back, besides medicine and hot water, she also wet a towel and placed it on his forehead. Jiang Zhuo finally understood why Qin Mo liked to use the trick of injuring himself. But until now, he didn't want to use any tricks on her. If she felt that it was hurting him, in that case, he would just stay there quietly. As long as no one came close, it would be fine. Probably no one understood why he was panicking. He was afraid that she would suddenly have a new life in university, a life that didn't include him. And he knew what the school hunk had in mind for her. If he was just a kid, it wouldn't have mattered. But he could actually convince her to play games again. Jiang Zhuo was afraid. He didn't even have time to arrange things at home. He would rather give up the teaching assistant title and come over. Even if he had to face the possibility that he might really lose her every day. It seemed better than letting his imagination run wild. But he still couldn't take it. She ate with that person, did game tests with him, and talked about things he might not understand. Now, he regretted not asking Chin Mo to teach him how to play games. But there was no medicine for regret in this world. He was a businessman. There was a fundamental difference between him and people like them who had dreams in their hearts. But Jiang Zhe had been thinking about it all this time. But he had never told her. His dream was to be with her. Want to get a person. He missed her so much. That's why he did it when he didn't know anything. I feel betrayed. When they wanted to retain him, they would use the most instinctive business methods. He wanted to ask her if she could start over. She didn't have to become so thin. Actually, whether she was pretty or not, in his eyes, it was all about her. Jiang Zhe was really muddle-headed from the fever. Shui Yaoyao sat beside him. When she saw the temperature on the thermometer, she wanted to pull him up, but she couldn't. She could only make him drink the medicine and then use the physical cooling method. Fortunately, she had asked for alcohol from the infirmary. There was a refrigerator in the teaching assistant's dorm, and there was ice underneath. She wrapped a big bag and placed it on Jiang Zhe's forehead, moving it back and forth to lower the temperature. He probably sensed that someone was approaching him. Jiang Zhe opened his eyes, his peach blossom eyes beautiful. He held her hand. Is it Fat Yao Yao? That's what he called her then. Shui Yao Yao replied, MMH. Chapter 1683. Jiang Zhe was confused from the fever. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said such words. He wouldn't have let go of Shui Yao Yao's hand. But he really didn't think it was Shui Yao Yao. So after he said that, he closed his eyes, his pale, handsome face unnaturally red. One look and she knew it was caused by his high body temperature. It was probably because he was too uncomfortable, his brows were furrowed and his breath was hot. Shui Yao Yao sat at the side, her heart suddenly throbbing. From the moment she entered, she realized what kind of environment it was. If it was him in the past, he definitely wouldn't live in such a house. It was very simple and there were even cobwebs outside because it was the old campus. The room was clean but it was a world of difference from the place he had lived in for a long time. It wasn't that Shui Yao Yao didn't think about who he was here for. But it was too late. Shui Yao Yao wanted to tell him that. But the words Fat Yao Yao made her pause. She didn't know why but her heart felt warm. People didn't understand. So many people started to like her. It was because she had become like this. She learned to be confident, to dress herself up and she was even 10 kilograms lighter than before. When she encountered problems, she could solve them and wasn't a yes man anymore. She made herself better and better. If she worked hard enough, she would probably be respected accordingly. But other than Heinisch Zhou, only this person. Whether it was hate or like. It was all given to her in the past. She felt so inferior that she couldn't show her face. She couldn't handle anything. She was fat and ugly and even a little useless. He would smile and say, "You're not useless, I feel at ease but you are really heavy, Fat Yao Yao." She liked this person. He was probably the one who gave her the initial courage. That was why she felt like she was collapsing when she was injured. But who said that he had to like her at that time? Shui Yao Yao's eyes landed on him. This person had given her too many feelings. It was so complicated that it reminded her of her youth. He had seen her at her worst. He had also shattered her teenage dreams. But after experiencing so much, Shui Yao Yao understood one thing. A teenage dream would always be a dream. And whether it was the unbearable you or the beautiful you, not everyone could accept it. So many people said they liked her. Shui Yao Yao saw the cruelest thing in the word like. Even when people found out about Almighty Qin's hand injury, those who said they liked him even wanted him to withdraw from the competition when he performed poorly. Liking someone was too easy. A single gaze, a single face, a single sentence could be imagined. When the illusion is shattered, there would be hostages who would suspect that Senior Lin was trying to cheat them into marriage. Just because he said that he was gay, some things couldn't be explained. The easiest thing to accept about liking someone was that it was the opposite of fantasy. No matter what, she couldn't deny it. Apart from the Supreme Alliance, he was the only one who didn't ask her how she wanted to develop. At that time, he even said, "It's quite comfortable to pinch the flesh on your face." Fat Yao Yao. Shui Yao Yao placed her hand on Jiang's forehead, her eyes reflecting the tree branches outside. Jiang's didn't know what had happened. His fever had reached 40 degrees Celsius, and he was feeling a little dizzy. If it wasn't for someone constantly cooling him down, he would have died. He was really going to fail this time. Chapter 1684. Jiang's sat up, the white towel on his forehead hanging to one side. This caused his gaze to change. Amidst the deep and shallow emotions, someone brought a bowl of noodle soup over. "Damn, you're finally awake. Hurry up and eat the noodles, I bought it from the restaurant." This time, it wasn't made with gutter oil. The person who spoke was his roommate, who was also a teaching assistant like him. It was also this voice that made Jiang's feel like he should wake up. He probably had a really bad fever. He actually felt like Yao Yao had come to visit him. He was probably dreaming. Jiang's didn't move, he continued to lie there, raising his hand to cover his forehead. "I'm not hungry." "You said you weren't hungry again." The person shook his head. "Young Master Jiang, you have to eat something, you don't have much of an appetite after the fever. Look at you, I told you to eat but you didn't. In the end, it got worse, if it wasn't for your sister." "My sister? What do you mean my sister?" Jiang's interrupted him before he could finish his sentence. The person was confused. "Your sister, Junior Yao Yao." Jiang's suddenly sat up, his voice a little hoarse. "Yao Yao, did she come?" The person nodded, blowing on the noodles as he ate. "She just left and left you medicine. She said you were awake and asked me to call you for dinner, after dinner." F***CK. Wait. Young Master Jiang, where are you going? Jiang's didn't turn back, grabbing a jacket and heading out. The person was dumbfounded. Does this young master know that his fever has just subsided? At this moment, Jiang's didn't care anymore. Since she came, did that mean that he still had a chance? That was the only thing Jiang's cared about. Downstairs in the female dormitory, there were many people with different personalities. That was because there was someone standing under the tree. He had a smile on his face as though he had just finished playing basketball. He didn't take off his wristband but held a bouquet of flowers in his hand. He was talking to Shui Yao Yao. It wasn't anyone else, it was the school hunk they wanted to see. "Since you have no time, I could only come." The man smiled. "I wanted to tell you slowly but it seems like if I don't tell you now, I'm afraid I won't have the chance in the future. You should have felt it." Shui Yao Yao stood there, not saying a word. "You said you have a boyfriend. I've been following the team for so long, but I've never heard any news of you having a boyfriend. After the assistant came, I was even more certain that you don't have a boyfriend. What I'm about to say next, I hope it won't cause you any psychological burden. If you feel like you can't get along with me after hearing it, then just pretend you never heard it. Yao Yao, I like you." When he said the last word, Yi Zichen was stunned. Almost everyone who was walking back and forth heard it. Not to mention that this was a female dormitory. How fast did the news spread? Some even covered their mouths. There were even people whistling. The school hunk confessed. This would have been impossible in the past. It was even more impossible for him to be waiting for someone downstairs. But now, this scene was really like a scene that only appeared in television dramas. The girl he confessed to was truly blessed. Someone cupped his face and started to jeer, yes, yes, yes. Everything was so lively and beautiful. Chapter 1685. Was there no hope left? He bit his lower lip. His legs felt like they were filled with lead. They were heavy and heavy. On the two of them, he saw youth and the future. But thinking about it carefully, what was between them? The hurt, the past, and the absurdity that he didn't even want to think about. Jiang Zuo couldn't figure out where his problem was. He really wanted to ask her. Was it his fault that he didn't know how to like someone? Now it was proven. It was his fault that he didn't know how to like someone. Because he had never cherished or trusted anyone. However, there was only one person whom he was completely good to. Jiang Zuo lowered his eyes. He was a businessman. They were around the same age. But his way of thinking was different. Compared to their beauty, he seemed to only be left with benefits. No matter what he did, he had to consider the gains and losses first. How did he grow up? Ever since his mother died, he guarded the Jiang family. Those women who wanted to marry his father. If he wasn't a person who considered the gains and losses, how could he deal with them? He wouldn't allow anyone to touch the Jiang family's things. It wasn't because he liked being the young master of the Jiang family. It was because these things originally belonged to his mother. So, in the future, he would be alone again. Jiang Zuo lowered his head and laughed. This time, he didn't do things his way. Except that he didn't want to force her. And there was another point. Maybe a long time ago, he was already alone. It was him who always lived in the past. He remembered when he was 10 years old. On Christmas, Qin Mo stood at their doorstep. The person who usually didn't touch anything would decorate the Christmas tree like a little artist. This was a foreign holiday and it had nothing to do with them. Besides, the Qin family valued the Chinese season more. It was just a small habit. Ever since he knew Qin Mo, he would come once a year. At that time, he asked him, "Why do you always do these things?" Qin Mo said, "Someone likes it." He didn't need to look to know. Someone, but that person isn't here. Qin Mo looked up, his gaze unchanged. She isn't here now. As long as I wait here, she will come back one day. At that time, rather than saying that he admired Qin Mo, it was more like he was envious that he had such a person who could wait. Standing in the same spot, that person could see him the moment he turned his head. Many people said that it was not easy to stand still. Because no one could keep themselves unchanged. Yes, Qin Mo hadn't changed after so many years. Even after what happened to him, some things didn't change. But does anyone know? Some people had left, and that was it. She would never look back to see what she had left behind. Because everyone was becoming stronger and stronger. To create a new life. But there was only Qin Mo. She looked back. She even ran. He kept retreating. It was all for the sake of finding Qin Mo. After knowing that Z was the person that Qin Mo had been waiting for all these years, he couldn't help but sigh. Jiang Zuo was envious. He hadn't changed either. But he didn't know how to cherish it. Therefore, no one would turn back for him. Jiang Zhe turned around and walked in the opposite direction of the dormitory. He didn't hear Yao Yao's rejection. His voice seemed to have faded away in his ears. Chapter 1686. Jiang Zhe stopped in his tracks. As though he couldn't believe his ears. She lifted her eyes. Before Shui Yao Yao could say anything, she was pulled into his arms by the other party. This was the female dormitory. Moreover, School Hung Kai had just confessed. The surrounding people hadn't left yet. They covered their mouths when they saw the scene. What's going on? Li Tao was confused. The only one who was conscious was Shui Yao Yao. She felt his body temperature, it was abnormally high. She pushed him. Jiang Zhe smiled, as though he didn't care. He knew he would be pushed away, but he still wanted to hug her, probably because he needed some strength to walk out. But before he could move, Shui Yao Yao grabbed his wrist. What's wrong with you? Why did you come out before your fever subsided? Jiang Zhe's peach blossom eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of light. It was beautiful. Are you concerned about me now? You are my brother, even if we aren't related by blood. Shui Yao Yao glanced up. Jiang Zhe leaned against the tree, still looking handsome. I don't want to be your brother. Tell me, why did Auntie Shui marry me and stop me from chasing you? Shui Yao Yao paused. That joke isn't funny. How is it a joke? Jiang Zhe lowered his lids. I like you, don't you know that? Shui Yao Yao looked at him. You didn't think about chasing me then, I was so fat, didn't you? You told everyone that you weren't close to me. Because I knew Auntie Shui was going to be my stepmother. Jiang Zhe's lips were pale. I was a jerk, but I wanted to chase you, it wasn't a joke. Who else did you think gave you the flowers? Shui Yao Yao froze. You gave me the sky full of stars? MMH, Jiang Zhe chuckled. Didn't you say no one celebrated your birthday? Shui Yao Yao clenched her fingers. Why didn't you say that before? Because I felt that you betrayed me. Jiang Zhe lowered his voice. You knew that I hated those who got close to my father, but you didn't tell me that Auntie Shui had a boyfriend, that he was my father. Shui Yao Yao opened her mouth. That was true. At the end of the day, she was afraid that he would hate her, so she didn't tell him immediately. I only knew one day earlier than you. Shui Yao Yao was telling the truth. She was really weak at that time, but she had thought about telling him the next day. But that day, her brother started to have a stomachache, so she had to send him to the drip. When she saw Jiang Zhe again, someone had dug out her diary and pasted it on the school newspaper. Everyone in the school knew that she had fallen in love with a high and mighty senior. People said that she was a toad trying to eat swan meat, and that she should not be a demon when she was so ugly and fat. She had only written those thoughts for him to read. She was well aware of the distance between them. I didn't have any real thoughts. At that time, Shui Yao Yao only wanted to make this person her goal. When it was announced, she really wanted to run away. And he didn't even look at her. She thought he hated being liked by someone as fat as her. Only then would it be that kind of performance. It was like the nightmare that kept appearing after she fell in love with him, and then it became real. So it wasn't. Was there something else? Chapter 1687. MMH, Jiang Zhe replied. It wasn't until a long time later that I understood that you couldn't control Auntie Shui's marriage to the Jiang family because I couldn't either. It's all in the past. Shui Yao Yao glanced over, seemingly taking a deep breath. Let's go to the infirmary first. Jiang Zhe lowered his lids, not moving. It's not in the past with me because I still like you. Shui Yao Yao's fingers paused. Jiang Zuo looked at her and stretched his hand out, his voice a little low. We signed a contract previously and I want to renew it. This time, you can set the rules and I can do anything you want. If you think I was a jerk previously, you can vent your anger. But you have to be mine. Are you willing to renew this contract? Shui Yaoyao didn't speak. Jiang Zuo stood there, feeling the weight of his hand hanging in the air. 1 second. 2 seconds. Almost 10 seconds passed. Jiang Zuo roughly knew her attitude, but he wasn't willing to accept it. His heart felt like it was soaked in ice water. It felt empty and cold. Just as he was about to lose all hope. Too many scenes flashed through Shui Yaoyao's mind. In the end, it stopped at the scene where he called her Fat Yaoyao. Hence, Jiang Zuo's hand was about to hang down when Shui Yaoyao suddenly raised it. She seemed a little impulsive. If you renew the contract, if I get fat again, it's better if you get fat again, then no one will snatch you from me. Jiang Zuo was faster to cut her off. Shui Yaoyao's eyes lit up. You know I have an inferiority complex and my thoughts run wild. You should also know that I look fickle and easily attract women. You have to be wary of them. Jiang Zuo lowered his lids. Just be wary of them, don't be wary of me. Shui Yaoyao couldn't help but laugh. Because of your looks. At the very start, he had complained about this on the rooftop. It's because we have money now. It could be said that young Master Jiang was very straightforward. Shui Yaoyao glanced over. I can't guarantee I will be like before, let's try again. You want to return the goods after a bad test. Jiang Zuo felt a tinge of bitterness in his heart, but it was more of a new lease of life. I won't let you have that chance. Shui Yaoyao chuckled lightly. Maybe other girls will give me this chance. For example, when they get close to you, it's not impossible that you can't control yourself. At this moment, Jiang Zuo pulled her into his arms, lowered his body slightly, and whispered in her ear, we've been together for so long and you've slept in my office before. Have you ever seen my secretary with a girl? When Shui Yaoyao heard this, the back of her neck turned red. No. Jiang Zuo seemed to have hugged her gently, his tone carrying a sigh. It has always been only you, I have always only had you. Shui Yaoyao knew that she couldn't get rid of this person no matter what. Fortunately, things were different now. Now, when she heard these words, she would not lose her rationality. His heart could still beat, and there was a slight sweetness in it. So this was what it looked like when you liked someone just right. Indeed, he couldn't let go of what happened in the past. She didn't even know how far they could go. He was trying to give himself a chance. If there was no other way, he could truly let go of the past. Chapter 1688. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they didn't quite understand. What exactly did the two of them say? In the end, someone said that the teaching assistant had a fever and as the sister, she must have been worried and couldn't care less about the school hunk's confession. As for the hug, it was easy to explain. After all, the teaching assistant had always cared about his sister. Only Yang, who was standing there, knew what was going on. Yao Yao had rejected him decisively because the reason was obvious. And he knew that even without Jiang Zuo, Yao Yao wouldn't have accepted him. He still felt indignant. But what could he do even if he was indignant? Feelings weren't something that could be forced. That was probably the difference between Yang and Jiang Zuo. From the start, Jiang Zuo had been forceful towards Shui Yaoyao. Perhaps it wasn't appropriate to use such forcefulness on others. But it was just right for Yao Yao. And because of Jiang Zuo's forcefulness, there was a continuation of the relationship. In a relationship, the person who was forceful was sometimes the person with the purest and deepest feelings. After Jiang's was injection, Shui Yaoyao returned to the dormitory. When they first got together, they weren't as close as everyone thought. Even though Jiang's couldn't bear to let her go, he had to send her away. The moment Shui Yaoyao entered the dormitory, Li Tao walked over in confusion. Yaoyao, why didn't you accept senior? Because we aren't compatible. Shui Yaoyao chuckled lightly as she walked forward. Li Tao scratched her head. I think you and senior are quite compatible. Besides, the department belle came to you because of senior. It's really unexpected that you rejected her like that. What's unexpected? The person lying on the upper bunk turned over. Yaoyao said she wasn't interested in the school hunk. Why, senior is so nice. Li Tao's gaze was low, her voice heavy. Shui Yaoyao glanced up at her. I have someone else in my heart. We had a misunderstanding in the past, but now, we are at the stage of reconciliation. Someone else. Who? Li Tao and her roommates exchanged glances, confused. They hadn't seen Yaoyao's messages. Why was there someone else? Shui Yaoyao brought the toiletries over. You will know in the future. I'm going to take a shower first before there's no hot water. There would be no hot water in the dormitory during the designated time. Shui Yaoyao wasn't lying. Someone was still waiting for Li Tao's message. What do you think? Was there any progress? Why did Junior Yaoyao reject our fourth brother? Li Tao replied, Yaoyao said she already has someone in her heart. Damn. No way, I always thought it was just an excuse Yaoyao used to block off the other girls. I didn't think there would really be such a person. Who else in C University could be more popular with girls than four? I really can't think of anyone. Li Tao replied again, teaching assistant Jiang is more likable. Okay, I know you are Brother Jiang's fans. Brother Jiang definitely knows who it is. After all, they are siblings. After saying this, the man glanced at Lao Si, who was drinking, raised his hand, and dialed a string of numbers. Hello. Jiang Zhua had just finished dealing with the work that had been transferred over. His thin lips were still a little pale. Brother Jiang, if you and Junior Yaoyao are siblings, you should know everything about her, right? Chapter 1689. Yaoyao and I don't have the same surname, you know that, right? Jiang Zhua's voice was indescribably nonchalant. The person on the other end replied, yes, we follow our father's and mother's surnames, we think it's quite fashionable. Fashionable? Jiang Zhua laughed softly. We aren't related by blood, that's why our surnames are different. The person on the other end paused. Not related by blood. Yes, Yaoyao and I are re-establishing a family. Jiang Zhua's peach blossom eyes lit up. We've known each other for 3 years, Auntie Shui married my dad for less than a year and Yaoyao has a biological brother who calls me brother. The person on the other end of the line couldn't hold on to his phone. That's the case. Jiang Zhua chuckled lightly. But I do know everything about her, ask whatever you want to. That person thought that although the secret he knew was too big, he was still shocked. But he had to ask what he had to ask. Junior Yaoyao said she has someone else in her heart and rejected Li because of this. Brother Jiang, who is this person? Do you know? Jiang Zhua's eyes deepened and he didn't beat around the bush. I know, it's me. The person on the other end, there was a moment of silence. His tongue was in a knot. It's you. He wanted to hang up, what should he do? Jiang Zhua's voice drifted over again. There was a misunderstanding between us because my dad wanted to marry her mother. I always felt that they got close to us for money and I don't want to be her sister. Before I came, everything had been resolved. Now that I've been legally removed from my father's name, it's legal for me to be with her and I don't have to worry so much. But she's a girl and it's different. I hope that she won't announce this news. If you can keep it to yourself, try not to. There are many people in the school and they don't know what is going on. When the time comes, they will only say that she shouldn't be with me since we are reorganizing our family. The person on the other end of the line didn't know what to do, the impact was too huge. Jiang's smile was low. If it's because of your Sealy, then there's no need. He's so smart, he should already know, so I hope you can keep this a secret. The person opened his mouth. What are you doing now? We have already reconciled. Jiang's voice was faint. Didn't I say from the start that I came here because of her? That person coughed lightly. Brother Jiang, I'm not a girl, so don't release your charm. When are you guys going to stop like this? Junior Yao Yao is so popular. Won't you feel insecure if you don't publicize it? Moreover, there are more people who like you. It's easy for misunderstandings to arise between the two of you. Break up. This question was a little harsh and realistic. Jiang's clenched his fists, his gaze faint. We'll talk about the rest when her life is stable. That person shook his head. Brother Jiang, I feel that you're quite pitiful now. You have a girlfriend, but you can't go public. You're even worse than us single dogs who don't have a girlfriend. Luckily, if you still have to show off your love to Junior Yao Yao when you're teaching us, then fourth brother really doesn't want to do research anymore. Brother Jiang, to be honest, are you worried that someone will confess to Junior Yao Yao every day? Jiang Zhuo paused. That person didn't expect him to admit it so directly. Then, he smiled faintly, I'm not just afraid of that. Chapter 1690. She's only a freshman, we can talk about this when people aren't so curious about her. Curious? Your school hunk confessed downstairs, everyone would be curious about her. Why did he hear jealousy in that sentence? Jiang's voice was still calm. In the future, focus on your development. If fourth brother has any matters, get him to look for me or her in private. Ordinary girls might not have to worry about curiosity, but Yao Yao is different. Besides, people who don't know the truth will talk about her, so I hope that you can keep it a secret. That's not a problem. When that person heard this, he finally understood that Brother Jiang's feelings were indeed deeper than their fourth brother's. As for fourth brother, they should just drink together. In this state, it wasn't as if he didn't have the chance to snatch Junior Yao Yao over. Anyway, Brother Jiang wouldn't make it public. Just like that. It lasted for 2 weeks. The two of them tried to be together. He was really trying to do it. Jiang Zhuo would send a bunch of things to the dormitory just like before. But Shui Yao Yao's state of mind had changed. She would look at the things and smile, then distribute them to her roommates. It seemed like everyone would pay attention to their dressing after being in a relationship. Shui Yao Yao was the same, just that it was appropriate. In addition, the classes were getting tighter, and there were projects to do. Hence, there were times when she would grab her hair and sink back into the game during the test. Jiang Zhuo was the counselor, and when he saw her like this, he would place a bottle of water beside her. He didn't show anything, but it still made people feel that there was an inexplicable intimacy between the two of them. The only time they could be alone was probably the journey from the lab to the dormitory. It was less than 10 minutes, and it was Jiang Zhuo who sent Shui Yao Yao. I want to have a brother too. Li Tao held the pastries for afternoon tea, feeling that being Yao Yao's roommate was a blessing. Although she still couldn't understand why Yao Yao didn't accept the school hunk. In the past, I really couldn't tell that Yao Yao was a rich second-generation heir, but looking at the way the teaching assistant acts, she is rich, really rich. Shui Yao Yao smiled. Do I look poor? It's not as high profile as the teaching assistant. Someone started posting pictures of the teaching assistant on the school website. He wanted to buy the same necklace, but when everyone searched for the price, it was $23.33. Li Tao shook her head. Oh right, Yao Yao, today is White Valentine's Day. How are you going to spend it? Why don't we invite the people from Senior Brother's dormitory out so that we can get together? Shui Yao Yao took a bite of the pastry. I have an appointment that day. You guys go. He has a date. The other people in the dormitory widened their eyes. Yao Yao chuckled. Yes. Didn't you reject Senior? Shui Yao Yao nodded and looked at them again. It has nothing to do with him. Wait, I have a call coming in. The person who called was the laboratory, saying that they wanted to add a test at the last minute. After Shui Yao Yao hung up, she didn't even have time to eat the cake. She grabbed her bag and rushed out of the dorm. Her roommates are dumbfounded. Who did Yao Yao make an appointment with today? Because it was a temporary test. There weren't many people there. Moreover, when Shui Yao Yao was testing the details of the game, she forgot everything. Chapter 1691. Outside C University. Jiang Zhuo found a restaurant. He didn't book the entire place like before. But it was absolutely quiet. Such a place wasn't something most people could afford. But the more it was like this. When the people gradually left, the more deserted the place seemed. The restaurant was an all-glass house. Jiang Zhuo could see the lanterns outside from the corner of his head. These were all arranged by Jiang Zhuo, including the pumpkin carriage in the courtyard, plush dolls, and a large patch of roses. Although the two of them had been together before, they had never celebrated the festival that a couple should celebrate like this. Hence, Jiang Zhuo hadn't prepared these things in a day or two. Even the waiters in the restaurant hadn't seen such effort and thought he was going to propose. It wasn't common to put in so much effort and patience just to celebrate White Valentine's Day. From this angle, it was really beautiful. A few couples who came to eat thought that the restaurant had specially decorated it for Valentine's Day. Almost everyone took a photo. But when they took the photo, they felt that the light sometimes looked like a word. Yao. It was probably an illusion. After all, there was a carriage. There was light music in the restaurant. The waiter had come over a few times. Sir, I'll get you a glass of lemonade. Because he was a big customer, he wouldn't rush him to order. Moreover, the kitchen had already prepared the ingredients for the dishes he wanted to eat and was just waiting for him to say that it was ready. Time trickled by. Jiang Zhuo listened to the artificial voice that said, "No one is picking up at the moment." He glanced sideways at the retro clock hanging in the middle of the restaurant. It was already 9 o'clock. And their appointment was at 7 o'clock. The waiter walked over again. Sir, do you want me to prepare some bread for you first? Okay. Jiang Zhuo's gaze landed. Sitting there alone, he didn't know why the more beautiful the environment, the more lonely he seemed. The second wave of customers were still puzzled. How could there be a handsome guy sitting in the best seat but there was no one in front of him? At 9:30. The waiter came over again with a troubled expression. Sir, our chefs get off work at 10. Do you want me to bring you the dishes you ordered first? Jiang Zhuo looked at the emotionless phone screen. The waiter was also waiting there. Would you like to contact your friend again? Serve the dishes first. Jiang Zhuo sounded emotionless. Yes, sir. When it was almost 10 o'clock, the last table of customers left. There was a huge pile of food on Jiang Zhuo's table. The ingredients were all fresh and precious. But he didn't move. He originally wanted to make another call, but when he swiped through his moments, his fingers paused. Someone from the project team posted a photo. The second day of the dormitory get-together. So happy. These two are really a pair of ill-fated lovebirds. They're still taking the test, but I think they'll have a chance after the test. Jiang Zuo looked at the photo. For some reason, even his fingers felt cold. Not to mention the warmth coming from his chest. He did not wait any longer. After placing the napkin on the dining table, he stood up and walked out. The waiter looked at the table full of food and thought to himself that rich people were really wasteful. The other side. Shui Yaoyao didn't realize it was already 10:00 until she finished her work. Chapter 1692. Her first reaction was to get her phone. She hadn't expected the phone she didn't use for testing to run out of battery. Fortunately, there were many chargers here. After Shui Yaoyao charged the phone anxiously, she saw so many missed calls and messages on WeChat. She felt really guilty. Lin Yang had already packed up. He turned and said to Shui Yaoyao, "It's late, I'll take you out for dinner and then send you back." "No need, senior." Shui Yaoyao pressed her phone anxiously. "I'll settle it myself." Lin Yang knew that she obviously had a date. Actually, he could tell how important that person was to her. Otherwise, she wouldn't have looked up at him no matter what he said. Shui Yaoyao really didn't have time to care about others. After the messages stopped, her first reaction was to call Jiang Zuo. His phone was turned off. Shui Yaoyao thought about it. It was too late to go to the restaurant now. At 10, it would definitely be closed. She went to the dormitory building to take a look. She wanted to leave but was afraid that her phone would be turned off again. When the battery reached 10%, Shui Yaoyao just came out and was about to run over. She saw a person standing under the streetlight, looking up at her. Shui Yaoyao panted and was about to explain. He pulled her into his arms, his voice a little low. "I don't accept any excuses that don't fit after trying." Shui Yaoyao opened her mouth. Jiang Zuo buried his face into her neck. "I saw your WeChat moments." "What WeChat moments?" Shui Yaoyao was confused. Jiang Zuo's voice didn't seem to rise. "The photo of you doing the test together." Shui Yaoyao reacted. "Yes, I just wanted to tell you that it was really because I found a lot of loopholes in the test. I kept wanting to remember the loopholes and the feeling of the experience. Gradually, I lost track of time." Yaoyao. Jiang Zuo seemed to smile. "I know very well that you won't be like before, putting me first in everything. That's why you forgot." Shui Yaoyao didn't retort, she really wouldn't put all her thoughts into it now. "Then do you feel tired?" Shui Yaoyao thought for a moment. Recently, he had been the one doing all the work. Jiang Zuo lowered his voice. "I will feel helpless, but compared to the current state, I'm more afraid of you and that person having something going on." "That person?" Shui Yaoyao reached out and paused for a moment before placing her hand on his back. "Are you talking about Senior? It's impossible for me to be with him. I rejected him a long time ago. You know that." Jiang Zuo's gaze was deep. "It's clear, but when I see that photo, I still wonder why I'm not the one playing. You know, I reek of money and can't be compared to them." "You?" Shui Yaoyao chuckled. "Can you be so jealous?" Jiang Zuo glanced up. "Why can't I?" Shui Yaoyao stopped Jiang Zuo with one sentence. "You are mature." Jiang Zuo laughed again, peach blossoms reflected in his eyes. "I realized that you are getting better at dealing with me." Shui Yaoyao apologized seriously. "I was wrong today." Jiang Zuo lowered his gaze. Shouldn't you compensate me? Shui Yao Yao arched a brow. Compensation. Chapter 1693. Shui Yao Yao paused, lowering her lids. She didn't think she would fail. She was the one who didn't. Without a doubt, Shui Yao Yao was blessed. Similarly, she wouldn't make the person she was with feel uneasy. Since they had decided to be together again, she had to show her confidence. Especially when they were having supper, she saw Jiang's was post and knew that he had prepared so much. This thought intensified. Shui Yao Yao had always been a gentle person. Perhaps in the eyes of others, she didn't have a personality. But in Jiang's was eyes, she knew that he was understanding. In the past, he didn't know how to cherish. It seemed that all lovers in the world were like this. After being separated once, they would calmly think about what had caused the misunderstanding between the two of them. Although Shui Yao Yao had been busy this time and forgot about the date. But after this time, the barrier between the two of them seemed to have disappeared. To Li Tao, Yao Yao was getting prettier. Shui Yao Yao smiled faintly. Let him treat everyone to a meal today. Him. Li Tao's eyes widened. The person in your heart. Honestly, you guys are together now, right? Yao Yao, your expression changed when you mentioned him. Shui Yao Yao didn't deny it. I wanted to tell you guys, but I thought it would be better to be formal. The test is over and we can have a meal together. No problem. We have to eat. They had to see who had defeated their senior, the school hunk, to become the white moonlight in Yao Yao's heart. Shui Yao Yao felt that she had to tell Jiang's will first. She made a call. Jiang's will paused, his lips curving up uncontrollably. Is that why you're turning me into a permanent member? Shui Yao Yao was thin-skinned, her cheeks flushing. Are you free for dinner? I'll arrange it, you don't have to explain anything, I'll explain later. Jiang Zhua chuckled. Everyone in your dorm can eat, let's go somewhere with a good environment and big portions. Shui Yao Yao was glad that she wasn't on speaker. What did he mean by everyone in her dorm could eat? But Li Tao, who was closest to them, heard it and asked in confusion, how does your boyfriend know that we can eat? Because he was the one who ordered afternoon tea every day. Shui Yao Yao didn't say this. Instead, she said helplessly, don't you know how to refute? I really can eat. Li Tao frowned. Why do I feel that the voice over there sounds familiar? Shui Yao Yao knew she wasn't good with words, so she didn't say much. You'll know when we're eating. Jiang Zhua chose a private restaurant. Such a small restaurant didn't look expensive, but in fact, it was quite sophisticated. However, eating at such a place wouldn't make people feel like they were flaunting their wealth. Those who have sharp eyes will know that Yao Yao's boyfriend is taking care of these students. Li Tao nudged Shui Yao Yao. Your boyfriend isn't bad, but for him to eat at such a place, he can't be much older than you, right? Yao Yao laughed. What are you thinking about? Chapter 1694. Shui Yao Yao was about to speak. The waiter said, we're here. It was a private room by the window. Jiang Zhua was already seated there. When he saw them, he stood up and took the bag from Yao Yao's hands, his smile still filled with love. Is there a traffic jam at this hour? It's all right. Shui Yao Yao was already used to such actions. The few people beside them seemed to have lost their souls when they saw this scene. Well, what was going on? Even when they sat down, they felt like they were in a dream. Where was Yao Yao's boyfriend? Where was he? No. It couldn't be, a teaching assistant, right? Jiang Zhua poured tea for them and after a smile, he told them everything that had happened between him and Shui Yao Yao. Li Tao's first reaction was, "Then why did you come to see university?" For her. Just these 3 words were enough to move the hearts of others. If the first half was said to be in a daze, then in the second half. Since they were teaching assistants and they had known each other for such a long time, it didn't matter if they ate a little more. Finally, Jiang Zuo felt that he could hold his head high and be the first in Yao Yao's heart. The waiter from the small restaurant walked over. Because he was dressed in ancient attire, he looked like a waiter. But the waiter held a small tablet in his hand, only the size of a palm. One look and it was obvious it wasn't sold in the market. "May I know who is Miss Shui Yao Yao?" Shui Yao Yao placed her chopsticks down and glanced up. "It's me. A customer left this here. He said that you had arranged to have a meal here and he would give it to you when you showed up." Jiang Zuo's eyes flashed. He even knew where they were having their meal. Could he be a scammer? Li Tao's worry wasn't without reason. Shui Yao Yao wouldn't believe everything until she took the tablet and saw the logo. Her eyes seemed to tremble. This was the Supreme Alliance's team logo. Shui Yao Yao's fingers moved slightly, opening the page. A line of words entered her eyes. It was this line of words that made Shui Yao Yao cover her mouth with her hand. Her eyes even reddened. But very quickly, she suppressed the emotions. When he raised his head again, his eyes seemed to be able to burn something. Jiang Zuo didn't need to look to know who sent it. Spade Z. However, there were some deviations in the contents. When he saw the tablet page, he was also stunned. Li Tao and the others didn't know what was written on it, they only felt that Yao Yao was exuding an indescribable happiness from inside out. At this time, in waterfront city not far from Sea University. After the 3 gods of Xiangnan retired, they recruited a lot of new people. One of them took a very interesting path. Some students were very excited. Even when they were eating, they kept saying, "I feel that she is really like my Almighty Z. She is so handsome. Almighty T is Almighty T, don't say that every handsome guy is like Spade Z." Even though I like Spade Z, I can't stand it. Ever since Supreme Alliance disbanded, Spade fans probably wouldn't come out anymore. Just because I dyed my hair silver, called Spade T, and was hailed as the light of the future, I have to be messed with. Anyway, I like them both. Me too, Spade fans should stop, it's so annoying to fantasize everywhere. Chapter 1695. It's just the same name, are you going to cause a ruckus? The chef arched a brow. The ruckus is a Spade fan. If they aren't Spade fans, then who are they? The person who was called Uncle trembled. He was indignant. I'm so handsome and you call me uncle. You are the uncle. All right. He took a deep breath. Come, let's analyze it. This Spade T, right? It isn't a big deal to have the same name, it's normal to bump into each other. Let me explain, under normal circumstances, we should resolve the matter. After all, Supreme Alliance has been disbanded and Spade Z hasn't appeared for 3 months. Why do we have to bring up Spade fans? As far as I know, a lot of Spade Z's fans have quietened down following Spade Z's retirement. Alright, your Almighty T is very popular, so popular that you can gather this group of people. Then let me ask you, do you have to disguise as a man to compete nowadays? Do you have to use the same name? All of these are fine, it isn't a problem since there are businesses involved and no one can say anything, right? The latter part was hilarious. Your Almighty T, the light of the future, hasn't even heard of Spade Z. MMH, such a beautiful move, I'm impressed. What do you mean? The few girls glanced at each other. Is there something wrong with this uncle? The fat chef pointed at himself. Something wrong with me? Something wrong with me? Anyway, we spade fans know that we are in the wrong this time. I like tea too, they all have their own specialties, alright. If uncle doesn't understand, then don't say it. He didn't understand. What didn't the world most handsome understand? He was from Xiangnan too. Ever since the moment he came out. Both he and his captain understood. Xiangnan was no longer the Xiangnan of the past. And love. This word was so cheap. Most importantly, he had never been a real spade fan, yet he had to take the blame for someone who took the blame. He knew what it was like to have such love. It was easy to cater to it. He had never said that he would never forget Little Spade, the days when Xiangnan and Supreme Alliance battled. But he understood one thing. That person. That group of people. No one could replace them. He wouldn't go anywhere to look for their shadows. They were vividly etched in his memory, even though he was used to holding a mouse in his hand. Now, he was holding a kitchen knife. He shook his head. In fact, there was nothing much to say. After all, he was about to become an uncle. There was an indescribable pain in his heart. When Luoluo left, he knew that Xiangnan's golden triangle was gone. When Supreme Alliance disbanded, he understood that some things would gradually be replaced. There was only a trace of hot blood in him. After all, they had a past. Now, Zhao Sanpang didn't know if he would still retain that passion. Perhaps it had been too long since he had been on the battlefield. It had only been 3 months. In the shop, the inconspicuous fat figure lowered his eyes and looked at his own hands. No one would understand. Why was it trembling slightly? Those girls who said, "I like Xiangnan so much, I like tea so much," would never understand. He hadn't been acknowledged from the start. To be the champion for 3 years in a row. Then, the Golden Triangle disbanded. Our dreams have been broken again and again. Then, they would stick back again and again. But this time, Zhao Sanpang didn't seem to know how to stick back. Or maybe he was really too naive. What was he thinking about? His hot blood couldn't cool down. Chapter 1696. The most handsome man in the world. These words made Zhao Sanpang, who was about to walk into the kitchen, stiffen. Something seemed to be faintly heating up in his frozen chest. Zhao Sanpang clenched his fists tightly and turned back. A faint light shone in. In that instant, fireworks rose. It seemed as though the sky full of light could be reflected in that person's black eyes. That person still looked like a youngster. He was dressed in a delivery man's uniform, his figure tall and slender. He wore a cap on his head, faintly revealing the silver inside. The youngster wore a black earring on her ear, giving off a faint glow. The brim of the cap covered the sharp side of his face. Only the shocking curve of his chin could be seen. That person's thin lips curved into a devilish smile. His feet seemed to be able to crush the galaxy. When he looked at him, there was a hint of teasing in his lazy manner. F***ck, F***ck. That was Zhao Sanpang's first reaction. He was so agitated that he removed his mask, forgetting that there was someone beside him. Little Spade. Why are you here? Why are you back? Little Spade. When the girls who were eating over there heard this, they all looked over. The delivery man raised his hand and took off his cap. His silver hair fell, shattering like light. The youngster pushed her silver hair to the back of her head, revealing a perfect face that was like a devil's. Her eyes were extremely beautiful. Just like before, it was full of disguise. I wanted to deliver a package in silence, but since you're so handsome, I couldn't help but show myself. Bo Jiu smiled slightly. She stuffed her left hand into her trouser pocket and held a small wooden box in her right hand. She looked just like a devil in a manga. The girls were in a daze. Everything seemed to have been slowed down. Z. Was it really Z? Bojo didn't look at them. She walked slowly towards Xiao Sanpang and arched a brow. Almighty fatty, aren't you going to see what I sent? Wait a minute. Xiao Sanpang glanced behind her. It definitely isn't just you. Where's my nemesis, scheming Qin and shameless Qin? Where is he? Bojo seemed to be having a headache. Recently, he has been giving me the cold shoulder. A single person like you wouldn't be troubled like me. Xiao Sanpang. I'm asking you where he is, not asking you to prick my heart. I really want to throw him out now. But I didn't come alone. Bojo turned sideways. A person carrying a small school bag walked in with a pile of food in her hands. These were all bought by her master along the way. This made the little girl want to sigh. But because that face was so beautiful, there was no emotion at all. Therefore, it only made people feel that the contrast was cute. Little Poker Face is here too. Xiao Sanpang went up and wanted to pat Little Bei's head. One must know that he really liked Little Bei. Bojo blocked him. Almighty fatty, this is my disciple. You can touch his head, but 100 per touch. The corner of Xiao Sanpang's mouth twitched when he heard that. Scourges would live for 1,000 years indeed. It was the same for money grubbers. Let's be serious. Why did you come back? Could it be? Xiao Sanpang glanced at the girls whose souls were clearly gone. Because of these. Bojo followed his gaze. Suddenly, she smiled. That smile was truly bewitching. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.